to World Crisis Radio. Again, please take a look at Tarpley.net. On Tarpley.net, you can see that interview I did with Russia Today about this very important and timely topic. Also, we want to just sum up the case now. Here is Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalab. He has been denied a British visa. He is now on the UK watch list. His father has specifically warned the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria that the son is an Islamic radical. He's, after all, a young Muslim male. Reports now, it's very quite possible the father told the U.S. State Department that the son was in Yemen, which, of course, is prominent in U.S. propaganda with 2 bombings in the last couple of weeks, but a buildup of months and months before that. He buys a one-way ticket, pays $2,800 in cash, apparently no luggage, and no luggage is mentioned in any of the reports anyway. Otherwise, they might have put that on TV. They tell you all about his underwear, but apparently no luggage. And apparently no address, contact information. Again, this is a little bit sketchy, but that seems to be it. Normally, again, this would either get you no-fly, or it would get you strip search, or it would get you special scrutiny, cross-examination, whatever it is. You could go through the full body scan. Sniffer dogs would be brought to visit you. But none of that happened. So, therefore, this is the story. The guy comes festooned with red flags. He's got red flags hanging out all over him, and nevertheless, he's waved through. Go ahead. Welcome to Detroit. This, of course, means, and we've got to be clear about this, this is not a matter of unconnected dots, as the Washington Post editorial claims. It's not unconnected dots. It's clear that there's got to be an active complicity by moles, those other ingredients, right? The job of the moles is to protect the patsy, make sure the patsy remains at large, make sure the patsy is not interfered with, so that the operation can go through, at which point the patsy will be rounded up, taken into custody, and demonized to a fare-thee-well as a way of getting at the ethnic or religious group to which the patsy belongs. So, therefore, he was on the Terrorist Identities Data Mart Environment, TIDE, of the National Counterterrorism Center, but he did not make it onto the Terrorist Screening Database, TSDB, of the FBI, nor was there anything serious enough to stop him in the APIS, Advanced Passenger Information Service, of the Department of Transportation. Again, I think Transportation Safety Administration. Then we have the question of the bomb, the PETN. Well, what's going on here? Richard Reed allegedly used PETN in his shoes. That didn't work too well. Same story here. Doesn't work, but apparently starts a fire, firecracker, popping, fire, burned. I don't know. All of this is a little bit sketchy also. But then the huge hysteria around the world, 4 or 5 days, the entire Christmas weekend, Christmas Day, St. Stephen's Day, Boxing Day, then the Monday, the Tuesday, and it's still going on. So we've had 4 to 5 days of wall-to-wall hysteria about this, targeting in particular Yemen. But let me just repeat this. Instead of imposing body scans, bathroom limitations, new federal laws on what can happen in your lap, and so forth, let's just install a mole detector at CIA, FBI, HSA, NSC, White House, you name it. They all need a mole detector, to maybe an incompetence detector. Certainly, some of them are incompetent, but some of them have also got to be complicit. That's the story, that the incompetency factor can explain some of it. But this kind of a buildup, again, the patsy is always a miracle man. He gets away with things that a normal person could never get away with. The normal person would be rounded up for a small fraction of what the patsy is able to do. And then we're always told that we didn't connect the dots. Well, now it's time to get wise and realize that this is an orchestrated operation. We're going to give you now the temporal context inside the U.S., but in particular, let's jump right ahead now to the international context. But first, Janet Napolitano, the Secretary of Homeland Security, went on television during Christmas weekend saying, our system worked. Well, I'm sorry, Miss Napolitano. That is totally inadequate. This person is known to the left as totalitariano. She is known to right-wingers as incompetano, and I think both of them are onto something. This person sees her own failure staring her directly in the face. Their system did not work, and God knows what was happening on this airplane. I don't know if there was a bomb. I don't know any of this stuff. But if the story she tells is what happened, their system failed, and if she can't understand failure, she must be fired, or she must have the decency to resign. So far we've got Secretary Clinton at the State Department over the visa issue. We've got Director Mueller of the FBI over the lack of presence of this guy on the terrorist screening database. We possibly have Secretary LaHood of Transportation on this APIS database. We should also throw in Attorney General Holder. We've got Special National Security Advisor John Brennan, Barkey's advisor. We've got Dennis Blair, the National Intelligence czar. And we've got Leon Panetta over at the CIA. I would say these are all failed officials. They should resign or they should be fired. And in most countries, that is what would happen. Otherwise, they come forward and demand more and more power to oppress the citizen. In other words, the more they fail, the more power they get. This builds in a perverse incentive, motivation for them to fail more so they can become more powerful. That is why ministerial responsibility has been observed by governments from time immemorial. If your department screws up, whether or not it's your fault, and it's not personal, it's just a matter of maintaining the integrity of government, if we can use that phrase here so late in the day. Now, the big question, why all this stuff? Well, we know that Umar Farouk Muttalab was involved with Awlaki, and we remember Awlaki from the very recent Major Hassan case in Fort Hood, Texas. We also remember him from that radical mosque in Falls Church, Virginia, which was attended by Hani Hanjour, later alleged Pentagon suicide pilot on 9/11. And, of course, he could never have done it. We're now in the realm of fantasy, but I'm just trying to refresh your memory about what these people are alleged to have been and done. Awlaki goes from the Falls Church Mosque, attended by 9/11 figures, people allegedly taking part in this. Then he runs over to Yemen, and he's used as a kind of a way to sheep dip people. For example, if you've got Major Hassan, you want to sheep dip him as Al-Qaeda, you get him to exchange emails with Awlaki. We have the Toronto fertilizer bombers allegedly being in touch with him, various groups in Britain. And now we've got, for the 99th umpteenth example, Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalab also being in touch with Awlaki. Well, remember this, Awlaki the CIA lackey. Awlaki the CIA lackey. The guy's the double agent. It's clear enough. He's always been working for the Anglo-American intelligence community. And he's, set up there as part of a larger operation. And that gets us to, then, Yemen. You should be suspicious when the terror operations, the false flag operations, the patsy antics that are going on, mesh so closely with the target list of the U.S. military. That ought to raise some questions for any serious intelligent person. Now, since December 1st to December 2nd, we're in the environment of Obama's new and wider war against Afghanistan, Pakistan. Within that, we've also got Yemen. Yemen has now been seriously bombed by the United States now in the last 2 to 3 weeks, twice that we know of, and maybe more. Some people say cruise missiles. Some people say, no, it's manned aircraft. Some people say Predator drones. Could be all three. The technical question is not so important. Here's the important issue. You could already see during Christmas weekend on the Saturday and Sunday that Yemen was emerging as part of a new axis of evil. Obama's axis of evil includes Yemen. We'll be back in a minute.